So the first thing I want to go ahead and do now is let's make sure we don't have that HIF in here. Make sure that we are just running npm run def. There we go, that looks great. So in the last video we realized we also need to add in, for this to work inside our models, we need to have a treat media model. So what we're going to go ahead and do now is we're going to go ahead and have a treat media table. So we can go ahead and say PHP artisan make model m treat media, and we're going to have m here for model, for migration, sorry. So we're going to go into create treat media here. This is going to be a very simple one here. We're just going to have two relationships, the treat ID and the media ID. And for the media ID in this case, we're going in and essentially having to store the media somewhere. So for this one here, there's multiple options, but I think we could either go ahead and have a media table, or we can go ahead and use something along the lines of Spatie media library, which I think we should go ahead and use for this. It's really convenient and easy to use here. So make sure you have installed this here. And then we go ahead and php migrate. Need to make sure we also publish the migration in here though, so let's go in and take a look at that. So we're going to say php vendor publish media migrations and media library service provider. So let's just have all of that publish here. Go ahead and say PHP artisan migrate. Let's go in and see what's going on here. We've got the tweet media. We've got the media table here, which is brilliant. That's what we need. So with that gone ahead and sorted, let's go into our treat model. So inside our reply and compose, we want to go ahead in here and ensure that we are attaching the media here. So if empty this form images, we want to go ahead and go through each image and add them to the media collection. Now we're doing the same thing in here. And in here we have the images loaded and all that. So I think this should work. So we'll test out in here first. See if we can upload just any image and say hi. We added the image. The relationship, however, has not been created, and that's where we need to now make sure that goes ahead and gets created here. So I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of some of these here. Gonna get rid of this image uploaded here. Let's go ahead and make sure we run Laravel Reverb as well, and we can do that here. PHP artisan, and then we can say Reverb start. Oh, sorry, Reverb start. Host name xclone.yt, and then in this case we can have the port add 8080. So what we want to make sure of is this actually gets attached. So to do this, we need to essentially attach this upon creation of the media and the treat, and essentially add it into it here. So let's take a look at it. Sorry, my mistake here. We actually don't need to treat media one if you use the Spatty media library. That's just a silly mistake here. So you can go ahead, upload the image. It has added the image, but we encountered a problem now that inside our treat component, we're not really displaying it. So let's go ahead and take a look at how we could display that. So we need to do a few changes in here, both for the reply part here to work and look a bit nicer, but also for everything else to just work out. So first thing is we want to go in, get rid of these bits here, and we want to head into our treat component here as well. And then what we want to go ahead and do in here is we want to actually, inside the component for the tweet, make a fair few modifications, because we need to now factor in all sort of different scenarios here. So we're going to have 3 different booleans in here. We're going to have if it is a reply, if it's the first or the last one. Then we also want to get the tweet UL, which we can essentially just return in here, check what the root is for this so we can get the correct one. And inside this treat component here, we need to make a few modifications. First and foremost, we want to go ahead and say and isn't a reply. So this is for the original tweet and isn't a reply. In this case, we're going to go ahead and have all of this showing in here. So I'm going to go over all of this now, the changes we're making here. So in here, we're adding some different borders now, depending on if it's a reply or not. We're going ahead, showing everything before, but we have content with links in here so that it works properly. We're adding in the media, and we're adding in the content here. Then, outside of that, we need an else here. So else if isn't reply. In that case, we're going ahead, we are showing the tweet with the media in here. However, we're not showing the tweet actions in the same way. We're having a little bit different here. And also, we're not showing the ability for a quoted retweet in the same way. And then the last bit here, which is for any other condition. Again, in here we're then showing the tweet. We're still having the tweet user shown. We have the name in here, the username, the media, and all of this. And then we're gonna go in here and we're gonna have root tweet. We're gonna just find tweet here. or actually just go for root tree. Root tree does show. You're gonna do the same in here. We're gonna just see how this looks now. This looks a little bit broken. So what we're gonna do now is inside our tweet page, we have the reply and everything in here. Essentially the tweet page should look like this, but we need to just fix this bordering here, and the way we can fix that is inside at the CSS. We're gonna make sure we now have the correct body here. So what change we're making here is essentially adding text black instead as a starter, and then we're gonna make sure that we always show the correct one in here for the different scenarios. So inside treat user, we need to make a few changes now. So because treat user isn't factoring in the reply section, we're gonna go ahead and make sure it does. So all we're doing in here now is just checking whether or not someone has replied. So you can see we now have this border coming through here. We need to fix this color down here. So on the trees page here. And we still need to work on this component a bit more, because as you can see, there's still a few bits of work to work on. Just need to make sure that it always prioritizes the black color. And then if we head into our entity extractor, so yeah, let's go in and add the classes here. In this case in here, we do have a link here, and that's why it's going for prioritizing wide. So let's get rid of this bit here. That's gonna fix it. And then actually let's go ahead and have and make sure we have text black or dark. And there we go. And we also have the image now loading properly. So again, we need to fix inside the reply section as well to have that border showing up. But essentially, that's kind of the idea. We have a border showing up here, going down here, and so on. Now, I'm not gonna overly put too much work into it because that's gonna take a bit longer, but essentially that's what we want to kind of do here is add the border, and by using this reply inside the tweet user, it helps us go ahead and add that. Now, as you can see now, this actually works fine on the home page as well. It hasn't broken anything. And if we try to add an image there, let's see if that works. And it does. It shows up in real time and it works perfectly. So there's a little bit more we want to go ahead and fix for this course before we finish this one off. However, this is going to be the last episode of this series because it's gone on for a while and there's been a lot of features we've added to it, such as hashtag extraction and so on. I will be doing an in-depth course as well with how to do this on using inertia and view free, but essentially the only other thing we want to go ahead and start really working on now is the quote section, which is going to be quite interesting to get through. So let's take a look at it. Alright, so let's go ahead and create a new Livewire component in here. I'm going to go ahead and close some of these terminals down here. I'm going to say PHP Artisan make Livewire. I'm going to have components. Actually, we're just going to call it models. And we're going to call this, if we recall, inside our views Livewire. We have the models one. We're going to call this quote tweet model. And in here we're going to have again an X Twitter model. We're going to have a Y model in here for visible. Going to have a quote tweet model in here as well. And we're going to have use with file uploads. Going to have a public tweet. Tweet. Going to have a public tweet. Compose form as form. Visible set to true. Gonna have a public function in here for quote. And inside this form is gonna be practically identical to what we've done before, except we're gonna be explicitly saying this is a quote in the type, have the original tweet, and we're gonna pass through a view. And then inside the quote tweet model, we just need to have the form in here, and this is gonna be relatively identical to what we had before. Now, one of the difference I'm doing in here, this is just because it seemed to be causing no bugs, is to actually have some alpine data below, which is essentially just what we have for the other compose forms. So I'm gonna leave that out. Instead, we're gonna go ahead in here now and have the form, and we're gonna add the data in here. We're gonna have a div in here with flex shrink 0 p4 pb0. Gonna have a width 12 flex and then items top. Gonna have an image in here with the auth user profile photo URL. Gonna have these standard classes here. Photo of username. And then outside of that, it's gonna be practically the same as what we've done before. Just out of here, we're gonna have the text area with the error handling. And then in here, we're gonna have the images being added. Now the key difference is in here, we're gonna have a padding of 4 with a rounded large. And we're gonna have a Livewire components, and we're gonna create a tweet quote component just for displaying a quoted tweet. And then we're gonna go ahead and have the regular stuff on the bottom here where we can submit it and attach images and that. So let's go ahead and now, and inside our components, we can create a tweet quote. And in here, we're just gonna have a basic tweet in here with wire navigate and having the tweet user set up as well. In the model, we're just gonna have a very simple one here again. There's literally no difference to what we had before. And now it's really just about being able to trigger this model. Then we can also go in here and say use is composing. And yeah, let's go ahead and see if we can get started with it. So we also need to make sure we have this form set up in here so that it works. So if we go ahead and, for example, look at edit profile, edit profile model, we need to use is models. Which has visible set in here. And then we can go ahead to tweet actions. Actually tweet, retweet actions here. And then there we just need to essentially trigger something in here, which we can say span with full. And then we just need to open the quote model here. And I think the way I want to do this actually is inside here we can just have Livewire components. And we're gonna have models. Actually, sorry, models, and then we're going to have quote tweet model with the tweet inside. And that's only going to be the visible, so that's just a quick way to be able to do this in here. So what we can go ahead and do now is inside retweet action is set a public bool of visible to false. And then we can just have a quote in here which is gonna set that to true. So let's see what happens if we go ahead and try to first and foremost actually put in some text in here and say quote. We get route tweet not defined, that's fine, we can just go ahead and fix that inside the quote, the tweet quote. In here we're just going to say tweet the show. See what's going on in the error log here. So we're setting inside retweet action, we're setting visible to true. So if we go in here now and just set some text in here, what happens? It is showing the text there, but isn't showing the model. So let's take a look at why that may be. So yeah, because the way we're using this quote tweet model here, if we head into component, we actually don't want to use is model, and we just want to use public bool visible. And we want that to always be set to true. There we go, and now we can say hi. Let's see what happens. We get issue with content here because inside this we need to use body. Let's try with an image. That looks fine. And then here we need to say tweet was created. And we also need to make sure we just find this bit in here where we say the tweet component now, because we changed this around. We want to make sure we say tweet the show. This is essentially just finding it depending on if it's a quoted tweet. So there we go. Now we have, in this case, got a few tweets in here. So you can see if we get rid of these tweets here, the replies, we haven't really managed to deal with the picture in here, but if we go ahead and make another one, say hi. And we're still not showing it 100% correctly for the quoted tweets. So we need to go ahead and essentially fix that, but it's showing correctly in the database, which is quite important and quite good. So now our job is really just to make sure that this shows properly upon being quoted. So the issue in here is we need to use tweet body, not content. And we need to use body here. And it already working a little bit better, but we still have one issue in here, and That is, let's head into our tweet quote. We want to use body here as well. There we go. So now we are showing the quoted tweets, and I think we only uploaded that image once, so actually no, we uploaded twice, so yeah, that's fine. So if we go ahead now, we can essentially quote people, not quote them, go in, reply, for example, say hello. We can retweet now, we can still like. The only other thing I want to do is inside tweet actions, for this reply one here, we're gonna go ahead and make sure that this works. So just like if you click on the like one, we want to make sure this is actually an anchor tag, and this is going to go to wire click tweet. Actually, no wire click. So we're going to go HIF route tweet the show. I'm going to pass through the tweet. There we go. And you can see we in here also can reply. And essentially this is the last bit here. There's a few issues with the cloning overall, but it's smaller ones. I'll do some special videos for people who are members on the channel, so I would highly recommend becoming a member on this channel, where you will get access to bonus content that will only be available on channel memberships and also be available for people upon my website being launched with courses added to it. You'll be able to use either of them to watch any bonus content, retrieve the videos up to a week or 2 weeks early, depending on which plan you choose to go with. And that's all for this video. Thank you very much for watching this series. It's been quite a long one. Please hit the like and the subscribe button, and I will see you in the next one.